People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted person who loved me till the end. People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a one-boy cuddly to my up and down, my pride and joy. People, let me tell you, it's so much fun when we're talking man to man, talking sun to sun. People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a one-boy cuddly to my up and down, my pride and joy. People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted person who loved me till the end. People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a one-boy cuddly to my up and down, my pride and joy. People, let me tell you, it's so much fun whether we're talking man to man or we're talking sun to sun. People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted person who loves me till the end.
You are listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs, so sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Good evening, friends! Welcome to another episode of This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. That's Ben up there. I'm Hobbs, of course, and joining us once again after a long hiatus is our good buddy Token. My friend, how are we? Oh, Christ.
Darken up the, uh-oh, am I muted?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh, yeah, I figured that for Black History Month, it was about time that we get somebody other than you white honky crackers in here.
Well, we decided to pull the opposite of you, and we brought on a POC for Black History Month instead of kicking one off of the show.
Yeah. I mean, we're totally non-cancellation show here. We say whatever we want, and, you know, we just kind of roll with it.
So we need to get your view. Do you think the Holocaust was just between a bunch of white people? Just to throw, just figure that out.
Just a bunch of white people? I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's kind of funny that actual white supremacists and Whoopi Goldberg are they kind of have the same opinion on this. Well, no, actually, actual white supremacists don't think Jews are white people. So, according to Whoopi Goldberg, Hitler wasn't a racist.
Yeah, he was
he was just going. People. It was just his inhumanity to other white people.
Right. Yeah, that's the surface level. It's like only Jews died in the Holocaust, you know. It's like, oh, no, you would have been on the chopping block too, Miss Goldberg. Well, I'm sorry, I'm having way too much fun.
It's this sort of brain dead take that sees, like, oh yeah, if I can't see a difference right away, then it's not racism. Like, now go to Europe. See, like, even people in the same racial group, if they're a slightly different ethnicity, like, go to the Balkans and tell them that they're all just the same thing, right? Yeah. Like, to tell a Serbian and a, I don't know, Croatian that, no difference here.
Yep, it just goes to show that people will hate other people for any reason, but for Whoopi Goldberg to say what she said the way she said it, it was just kind of like, what? And then she had, she clarified and what she meant, but to make things kind of ironic, I don't know if you guys saw it or not. I think I posted it up into the group chat. Whoopi just got the most recent firmware update from the ADL. Her little NPC antenna popped up, and she got the latest update. The ADL recently changed the definition of racism from being, oppressing people on the basis of race to being the subjugation and oppression of people of color for the purposes of maintaining social norms that benefit white people.
Very interesting. Isn't the Anti-Defamation League, I guess you can call them that now, but isn't the Anti-Defamation League supposed to be like a Jewish advocacy group?
It is exclusively a Jewish activist group.
Yeah, so you would think that they wouldn't be creating a brand spanking new definition of racism that excludes the possibility of being racist towards Jews.
See, you would think so. And after the Whoopi Goldberg fiasco, they hastily changed it back to an interim definition where it was just, oppressing people on the basis of race. Reality.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the backlash from this forced them to reevaluate their decision. Because Whoopi Goldberg was talking about how the Anti-Defamation League was on her. So, like, she was referencing them with her comments.
Yep.
And they're like, oh shit. Maybe we should not be on the anti-Jew side of this argument.
I didn't hear her excuse for why she said that. I thought she was just stupid, but you're telling me she said she was misunderstood?
Well, she is just stupid. I mean, let's be completely honest. We're talking about a host of The View. Does anyone on that show have a single brain cell left?
No, not at all.
No, probably.
No. There is actually some really great clips from back in the day of when they actually were still inviting people with differing opinions on to do more than just shriek at them. When they had Norm Macdonald on, and and he just, in his typical Norm Macdonald manner, just kind of like led them along down this little trail, and then it was just like got him. Yeah.
Just a bunch of clucking hens.
or
Only guy joke. No,
yeah,
just
or like
hens.
yeah, and then, or like Norm Macdonald when they were talking about Bill Clinton, he'll just drop a bombshell. He's like, "Didn't Bill Clinton murder somebody?" They're like, "What?"
Yeah, there's this really weird thing that leftists do where they rehabilitate people they used to hate. Like, I see this all the time with George W. Bush. Like, do you remember when George W. Bush was president? The man was literally Hitler and a war criminal, and, they wanted to bring him up on crimes against humanity charges. Things I still want to do, right? Mm-hmm. But because he doesn't like Trump, now Bush is their friend, right?
And he makes some paintings.
Yeah, he's their friend now. Now they're like, oh, he's rehabilitating himself. It's like, no, bitch, he killed 1 million people. You don't rehabilitate that. No, he's gonna burn in hell, and he deserves to.
Was it him or was it Cheney though?
Both. Yeah. They're both gonna burn in hell. Yes. Bush isn't dead yet, so he's still on borrowed time.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's kind of like the alliance that we had with Stalin in World War II. It's like, yeah, Stalin's bad, but Hitler is badder. So we'll hate Stalin later. It's only kind of in reverse. It's like we hate Bush now, but Orange Man is so uniquely bad that we'll cozy up to George W. Bush now.
Well, I mean, Stalin would be very relieved to hear that the genocide against Slavs was not about race. The millions of Russians that the Nazis killed in their quest to purify Europe of lesser races. Not about race. Had nothing to do with it. They're all white people. They're all the same thing.
Right, yeah.
Thank goodness we have Whoopi Goldberg here to let us in on these secrets. That and Adolf Hitler, not a racist, just really hated white people.
Yep. That's why he killed so many of them.
Exactly.
Well, I thought white wasn't even being considered a race anymore. Didn't I see something? White is a mindset now.
Oh yeah. There's the thing is they have yet to kind of distill what they want to mean by it, but there's white, as in of European ancestry,
And the
And then
natural love of
there's-
mayonnaise.
yeah, and then there's capital W, political white, the same as there is black, and then there's capital B, political black.
That's like what Candace Owens and Larry Elder are. They're
Exactly.
black, but they're actually white.
Yes, exactly. They're capital W political whites, and guys like Bill Clinton and Sean King are
Joe Biden.
capital B political black. Or it really just is a distillation of the left-right paradigm.
Yeah, there was some article I saw. Hispanics, the new white people. It's like, what?
Yes.
And Asians, the new white people. Yeah, it's insane. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. And
Well, I mean, it's funny too because what counts as a white person has changed dramatically since World War II. I mean, there was a time when only an Anglo-Saxon would be considered, a properly white person,
yeah,
right? Like Spanish people weren't white, Italians weren't white, Slavs weren't white, Jews definitely weren't white, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
But now everybody of European descent is white.
Well, I want to say the original politically white people were the Romans.
But they're
Yeah,
Italian.
brother.
But they're Italians.
I know. Ironically, they got kicked out later, but
Yeah, you lose your empire, you lose your whiteness.
Mm.
That's how it works. Them's the rule.
I mean,
Sorry.
they set the standard for the imperialistic, the hated imperialistic white person. They went through Europe, burned all the Celtic gods. Erased all the Celtic culture. That set the standard for being imperialistic white person. So I'm going to say the Romans were the original white people.
They made a desert and called it peace.
Yeah. Later to
Wow.
get kicked out.
Laughs in Mongol. No, but I guess Asians are white now too because they graduate.
Yeah.
I mean,
High
that's
on
what
SATs.
sucks. I mean, the Romans did more bad shit to the rest of Europe than anybody else, but because Europe was the last group to pull that shit off, they were vilified as the evil white person. You
Oh.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so like if the Chinese had colonized the entire world,
They'd be
we'd all be
vilified.
sitting here talking about Chinese privilege.
It just so happened that the Europeans were the ones left holding the buck when the world decided that shit's not going to happen anymore. So they were vilified. When the
When
Romans, yeah, go ahead.
Right.
Throughout all of history, everybody's building empires and committing genocide and massacring people, and then all of a sudden, boom, the world decides that that's not cool anymore, and all these European countries are like, oh shit, we got these huge empires still. God damn it, now we're the bad guys.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I thought we were the good guys. Damn it.
Yep. And that goes kind of to the whole the idea of climbing the ladder and then pulling the ladder up behind you, because not only were the European powers the last powers to have any type of an empire, but they were also the ones to definitively put a stop to it. The idea that conquest and slavery and subjugating other people for any reason at all, for the purpose of wealth stealing or anything like that, those ideas are they're Renaissance, Enlightenment, Western European values. So right at that time that Western Europe has all of the empires, Western Europe decides, hey, this is kind of a scummy thing to do to other people. Maybe we should cut it out. And it took a long time for them to kind of liquidate their empires and give them back to their indigenous people, but
And the French are like, no, we're into it.
yeah, but that's and for being the ones to decide to liquidate their empires and codify in the collective consciousness of humanity around the world that empire building is wrong, YPO is the devil.
Apparently all the hosts of The View are very upset about Whoopi Goldberg getting suspended, but I've got the perfect solution for them to recover from this. They just need to bring in a new host. And who better to be the new host of The View than Joe fucking Rogan? Let's do it!
You'd have to
No, can you
identify as a
imagine
black woman.
Joe Rogan being the host of The View? That would instantly make it a show worth watching. Because you got this calm, nice, articulate dude, and all these clucking hens just yapping around him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that Joe Rogan getting a TV show on any of the major networks would pull the major networks out of the free-falling spiral into irrelevancy that they've got right now.
No, he absolutely would. He absolutely would. I mean, I think this is a good time to mention the fact that Joe Rogan is fucking indestructible. I mean, here's a guy with a pretty modest audience, nothing like ours, of course. Our audience is. I mean, we're the most listened to podcast in the universe.
Quantity.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what most of our listeners are aliens tuning in from outer space, so they don't show up on the statistics. But I promise you, they're there. They're listening.
Oh,
Right. I want to believe that at least. All right. But Joe Rogan has a lot of human listeners, which is okay, whatever. But it's funny because was it last week that this all started when a bunch of old boomer has-beens and never-weres decided that they were going to give Spotify an ultimatum and tell them, hey, either you keep me, Neil Young, or Joe Rogan, because it can't be both. And Spotify just looking at him like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Like Neil Young, like it's funny because every time one of these, there's one every other day joins the protest, and every single time, without fail, like X, Y, and Z decides to pull their music. I'm like, Google, who are these people?
That guy's still alive? Yeah.
Like anyone this century gonna do this, or anyone relevant, anyone who's made a hit song in the last 30 years, please step up. Because I don't know any of these people that are doing this.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and I don't. What did you see the conspiracy theory about Neil Young's music? Well, I guess it's not really
Yeah,
conspiracy. It was pretty much fact.
Yeah, it's fact. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you see that one, Token? His
The
music
conspiracy about
catalog-
Neil Young.
Yeah,
that
his
his,
catalog's owned by Pfizer.
Yeah, that his catalog's owned by Pfizer. No, the conspiracy is he sold half his catalog to an investment firm. And that investment firm's CEO, an advisor at that investment firm is the CEO of Pfizer.
Yep.
So, like, it makes perfect sense. Like, Pfizer calls these guys up and like, yeah, dude, maybe it'll work. Let's see. And then it just spiraled out of control. Now all these leftists think they're virtue signaling, doing this good and righteous thing, where really all they're doing is taking the side of this big mega corporation.
Yep. Fight the power. Trust Pfizer. That's that's the rallying cry of the modern day. I don't even know. Are they lefties? Are they hippies? Are they?
I don't know what. How can you be a lefty if you're like pro? I think
We call them what they are. They're fascists.
fascist. Yeah,
That's what fascism is. Fascism is a merger of corporation and state. What the fuck do you call this? It's Pfizer and the government. It's a fucking merger. It's literally fascism, right? It's woke fascism.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
A regressive progressive, somebody said over there.
Regressive progressives.
Yeah.
Say
So
that
we-
5 times fast.
We've got a pretty hot topic over here in the comment section. Butter or mayo?
Are we talking about grilled cheese here?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a mayo fan generally.
Yeah.
So.
Trevor Davis says it's butter and that mayonnaise is disgusting, whereas Wigan says that mayo goes on a sandwich. And I'm saying that they can coexist. Each one has its purpose. Both of them coexist on a grilled cheese sandwich. Don't fucking at me.
Yeah,
Butter
I'm not a
outside, mayo
mayo fan. Now I'm gonna go with the butter there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go with mayo on the outside. It just gives the perfect crisp on it.
See, I'm more of a mayonnaise on the inside of the grilled cheese and butter on the outside.
The real question is, which one does Neil Young prefer? That's what everyone wants to know.
Soy
Semen.
spread.
Soy.
He spreads semen on his sandwiches. Pfizer CEO semen. He spreads it on the outside of his sandwiches.
Oh, so good, so yummy. Give me some more. Mm.
Yep.
So
Meanwhile, Joe Rogan's just looking at him in disgust, like,
That's what I
don't
said.
know why
Man,
people
that guy needs to do more DMT and eat some elk meat.
why people were thinking that Joe Rogan be considered canceled if he's kicked off Spotify. That's not. He could care less.
Right. You know, if they do manage to get Joe Rogan off of Spotify, right now Joe Rogan has an exclusive deal with Spotify that's worth $100 million over 5 years. So not only will Joe Rogan be $100 million richer in a lump sum, but now he'll be free to take his content to even more platforms.
Honestly, I used to listen to Joe Rogan quite a bit, and I quit when he moved to Spotify. So I think it's hurting his audience, if anything, but he's getting a large check, so he doesn't really care.
Right.
Now, I don't know. I haven't seen the numbers, but Joe Rogan gets tens of millions of downloads per episode. Like I'm see, here's the funny thing. Like, everyone likes to pretend that Joe Rogan is a political commentator. He's not. He's not a political commentator. This is why I only listen to select episodes. I don't listen to every episode. It's because most Joe Rogan episodes, he has on comedians, musicians,
UFC.
actors, UFC guys, and I'm just not interested in any of that. Like, good on you, Rogan. These are your buddies. You're having a good show. Like, other people like him. Cool. But that's like most of his content, right? Yeah. And I'm not interested in any of that. But that's not the stuff that gets him attention. What gets him attention is when he has guests, doctors, and scientists, and people on his show that may disagree with the mainstream narrative about COVID. You know, it's fun. They always accuse him of misinformation. But misinformation, that's not accusing him of lying. They're not accusing him of being wrong. That's not what they're doing. They're accusing him of putting forward a narrative that is counter to that is being pushed by Pfizer and the CDC and the U.S. government. Right. That's all. So when they say he's spreading misinformation, understand, they're not saying that he's lying. They're not saying that he's wrong. They're saying he's a heretic. And that's why you should listen to those episodes.
Yep, exactly. And the term misinformation, it's a very newspeaky type of word, because, you know, like you were just saying, it doesn't mean that he's wrong, it doesn't mean that he's lying, it just means that he's not conforming to the people in power that want him to conform to him.
It means he's right when the CDC is wrong. That's what it means.
And it means that he and his guests that he has on are, like you said, heretics. You know, this whole thing has a very cult-like vibe about it, surrounding everything. And the fact that you're not even allowed to discuss the things that he is bringing up without being labeled with some big tech misinformation tag or any of the other things, it's a little bit crazy that you're not even allowed to discuss these things in polite society. It's crazy. Yeah, Malone was one who was.
So yeah, Scientific Libertarian asks, why are they going after Rogan? Malone was the one who was lying. Rogan isn't a biologist. He has no idea what to ask that guy. A few things. I mean, Rogan does a good job preparing for these shows. So yeah, I think he does know what to ask a lot of these guys. I mean, he's not, like you said, he's not a scientist, but he has a decent idea. But the reason they're going after Rogan is because he's committed the cardinal sin of platforming these guys.
Yep.
That's why. It's because Dr. Robert Malone, if he started a podcast, he'd have 100 listeners, right? Go on the Joe Rogan show, and he has 10 million listens.
Yep.
That's why. That's why they're going after Spotify, too. Because it's always about the bigger fish. It's always about deplatforming people. See, 100 years ago, when people wanted to censor you, they'd cover your mouth. Nowadays, they cover your audience's ears. Mm-hmm. That's how censorship is done in the 21st century. Like just this show that we have, right? Every one of our social media accounts is shadow banned. Every single one. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, just got kicked off. Every single one. And the reason is they want to keep you from listening to us. It's not about stopping us from speaking, because we can speak all we want, but if no one's seeing our content, if they're stopping you from tuning in, then they win. That's the whole deal.
Yep.
Yeah, and we don't usually get knocked for misinformation. I mean, we maybe had one misinformation thing, but mostly it's through stuff they decide is harmful speech.
Yeah. And again, we're not lying. Or not intentionally giving anybody bad information or anything like that. And what shocks me.
Go ahead.
What shocks me about the label of misinformation is the people that are saying that what people like Peter McCullough and Robert Malone and Joe Rogan and his various guests are saying, by the very people that are saying that that's misinformation are the same people who have been wrong about literally everything, every step along the way. And when they finally get called out on it, or they finally catch up to where reality is at and admit that, masks don't work as well as we thought they would, or, the jab isn't 96% effective. It's 84% effective. I mean, it's 56% effective. I mean, it's 34% effective, and you're going to need a booster. I mean, it's 15% effective, and you're going to need a booster every year for the rest of your life, and it doesn't work for the variant that we're on right now, but you still got to get your booster anyway. These are the same motherfuckers that are doing this shit over and over and over again, and their excuse is, oh, well, we have new information.
See, it's never that they're wrong.
Yeah,
it's that the science changed,
mm-hmm.
right? That's the get out of jail free card that these people use every single time. No, dude, there's a word for getting your information incorrect. There's a word for that, and it's not change. It's wrong. You were wrong, and if you were wrong before, not just wrong, but catastrophically wrong. There was. Did you see this John Hopkins study that just came out this week that said that the lockdowns had zero effect on the mortality rate of the virus? No effect at all. But it had a devastating effect on the economy and the mental health of people. Right? So they got that completely wrong, and yet they still want you to listen to them. Ugh!
Yeah, and it's funny how when the science changes, it always ends up changing to be the position that we were at a year ago.
That's called being correct.
Yes. But
if someone was correct 2 years ago and someone else was wrong, maybe listen to the people that got it right from the get-go.
Yeah, the thing is that people like us, we're never wrong. We're just early.
We're right when the CDC's wrong.
What was
And
that?
that's-
What was that thing?
that's
It's
the reason.
doubting scientists is unscientific. It's like doubting science is literally what science is about. You dumbass.
Right? Like, where would we be today if scientists took this approach that doubting other scientists was a priori a bad thing to do?
Well,
Like, where would we be today?
the
We'd
Native
still be living in the
Americans
Middle
probably would've
Ages.
liked it. They would have taken flat Earth as gospel and never went sailing out.
Like, man, the science is settled, guys. The Earth is not
There's
round.
nothing out on
No,
that
we don't
ocean.
need to listen to new
Yeah, just stay
information.
here.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Speaking
Western
of
Europe.
science changing, did you see Denmark? The thing about Denmark, they lifted all their restrictions.
Yep. And see, that's the narrative is collapsing.
They said it's
Right.
because the vaccines work so well that
Right. That's the reason. They work so goddamn well that all these triple vax people are catching COVID. It's like, you know what really gets to me is when they say, "Oh, if the unvaxxed people are dying at disproportionate rates, yeah, that must mean the vaccine works." Like, no, dude. Listen. Like, take me for example. I'm like, early 30s. I don't have any comorbidities that I know of. Fairly healthy, right? My chances of getting a bad case of COVID are close to zero, right? So, say I got the vaccine, that would take my chances of getting a bad case of COVID from almost zero to a little bit closer to zero. So, like, okay, thanks, cool. Like, no, the virus is still killing the same people it was always killing: sick people, old people. It's not Omicron's less deadly than Delta was. So it's not like, oh, if you're unvaccinated, then you're gonna die. No. If you're unvaccinated and you're really, really old, then okay, you might die, but that's because you're really, really old. Because that's the people who were always dying of COVID.
well, I mean, if you're
It was
old,
never
if you're
me.
old,
It was always
why
the
not?
80-year-olds.
Why not get the vaccine if you're old? It's not like you got to worry about it screwing you up 20 years later. I mean, shit,
Right?
start snorting meth and injecting heroin if you're 80. Fuck it.
Yeah. The thing is like the only thing that they've got left to hang on to right now is this narrative and this idea that okay, so the vaccine doesn't keep you from getting the disease. The vaccine doesn't keep you from spreading the disease. But if you do happen to contract it, you're going to have a less severe case, and it's like that's unfalsifiable. How do you know that? Is there a perfect genetic match to me? Do I have a clone somewhere that we can test this hypothesis on? No, you can't. So how do you know that somebody who has got the vaccine and contracts the Wu flu would have had an easier time having the shot versus not having a shot? You can't prove it. You can't unprove it.
It's a
But
perfect position. You can say, if it goes bad, you can say, well, you guys just didn't get vaccinated enough. If it doesn't go bad, you can just say, well, the vaccines worked. It's an unlosable position to be in if you're pushing that narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about it. Like, again, like, everybody who wanted a vaccine already had it, right? Everyone that doesn't want it doesn't have it, and is not going to be convinced at this point. Like, I didn't need to listen to Dr. Robert Malone on Joe Rogan's show to be like, oh man, now I won't get the vaccine. Like, no, that show that came out like a month ago. The vaccines were available in like early last year. Like, I didn't get it. I'm not going to, because there's no reason to.
Right.
There is literally no reason for me to get this vaccine because of all those reasons I mentioned before, and I probably already had COVID, right? I was sick for a couple of days, laid out pretty bad, and then I got better. Was that COVID? I don't know. Maybe it was just a bad case of the flu. But that's what Omicron is anyway. So, like, given all that, I'm good. So all you people that are like, oh, the unvaxxed need to just do their duty for the country. Like, nah, fuck you. I'm gonna do what I want to do. And let's talk about this for a second. Because like Joe Rogan is absolute Teflon, but you know who isn't? Is the people that decided to go after him. Let's just put everything here in perspective, because a couple months ago CNN decided that they were going to ruin Joe Rogan.
Oh,
they were
going in
get
on
him
CNN
canceled.
now. That's
Yes, let's do this shit. Since they decided that they were going to ruin Joe Rogan's career, 2 of their producers got arrested for pedophilia. Their top host, right, got fired for sexual misconduct and for an inappropriate relationship with his brother, helping him out and using his news sources to do it. And now their top guy, Jeff Zucker, just got fired from an inappropriate sexual relationship that he was having with a lady that he hired. Right?
wasn't she working with Cuomo too?
Yes! Freaking Andrew Cuomo's former communications director. And it gets even better. You remember all those interviews that Chris and Andrew Cuomo were having on CNN where they were just blowing each other on TV? Yeah, this lady was the one setting that up. Using her contacts in the governor's office in New York. So that whole narrative we saw in 2020 about how great Andrew Cuomo was, how he was America's governor, he was the greatest thing on earth, right? That was this lady setting that up. The lady who was banging the boss at CNN.
Oh, what twisted webs we weave!
And they were both married at the time.
And they were both married. I mean, not even to talk about the fact that they hired Toobin, and freaking Don Lemon is facing sexual misconduct charges of his own. It's like it's a requirement to work at CNN that you're some kind of sexual pervert.
Yep. You know,
And these are the guys that are telling you not to listen to Joe Rogan, to listen to them because they're trustworthy. They're trustworthy.
I think the most surprising revelation to come out of the Jeff Zucker is having an affair story is the fact that the other person involved wasn't Brian Stelter.
Like, dude, at this point, I am just waiting for the
the
Brian
sandwich.
Stelter sex story.
He was
You know what?
meat in their mayo sandwich.
Take a good look, if you can stomach it, at a picture of Brian Stelter.
I can't.
Hey, no one's having a sexual relationship with that man. So
And
maybe he's good.
No, I'm saying take a look at a picture of Brian Stelter and put some glasses on him. Dude looks like a carbon copy of Jared Fogle, the Subway guy that was nailed for child porn. Like same like goofy smile and the receding hairline and the weird like Pennywise the
I
clown
can't stand to
sparkle
look
in his
at him.
eyes.
He's just got such a weird face with that smile. I just can't.
No, is Stelter the most insufferable CNN host? I mean, it's got to be him, right? Who's more insufferable than Stelter?
He's the only
Oliver
one I've heard.
Darcy.
Who?
Oliver Darcy. He's the guy that Brian Stelter oftentimes has on, and they bounce stupidity off of each other like a game.
I don't know. Here's the thing about Brian Stelter is he's so unimpressive. He's so stupid. Like he's honestly a stupid person. Like I want him to go on Joe Rogan's show just so Joe Rogan can humiliate this man. But he's the guy. He has he's the media watchdog guy. Right?
Yeah.
And he can't watchdog his own network. Like, he didn't know they had pedophiles working for them. He didn't know that his friend was playing grab ass with fucking... with playing grab ass with people. Right? He has nothing to say about Lubin Toobin being hired at the network. He had nothing to say about his head boss banging another one of his bosses. Like, yeah, you're the media accountability guy, right? Okay, no, you're the guy that bitches about why we listen to Joe Rogan rather than you. Like, oh, we got the medical team and we got the desk and we got all this stuff, and people still want to listen to Joe Rogan and not us. Like, yeah, dude, that's right. Maybe you should do some self-reflection on that. Because
Right.
we do want to listen to Joe Rogan and not you.
They
And
don't
it's
know.
because of
They don't have
you.
an option. They have to push Trump this next presidential election, or they're just going to go bankrupt. They got to get that audience back. They got to
Oh,
get
yeah.
that Trump hating audience tuning in every morning to hear about how Orange Man is so bad. So I think Trump's gonna be the media darling this next cycle.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's got to be somebody because what else are they going to report on? I mean, Joe
Yeah.
Biden is like got one.
They can't
foot in the
report on
grave.
Joe they can't report on Joe doing anything bad. That'll run the rest of their audience off.
Yep.
Oh my God, Joe.
They've lost like 80% of their audience since the inauguration, and
Did
even
you?
even all the hype over January 6th isn't bringing the audience back, and they need that daily 2 minutes hate.
Yeah, they need that Orange Man bad crowd to tune in. They don't have an
Did
option
you-
at this point.
Did you see that clip of Joe Biden today ranting about the Second Amendment?
No.
Yes,
Did you see that?
I sent that to the shitposter group chat.
Oh my God, this guy's going off like the Second Amendment didn't allow you to buy cannons. And like,
Yeah.
yes, it did. Like there were.
Yeah. First off, the Second Amendment doesn't allow me to do anything. The Second Amendment enshrines a pre-existing right. Second of all, people in the Revolutionary War era absolutely could buy a cannon whenever they want. The problem was that most people couldn't afford to go to a Bellrite, which were normally the people who had the equipment and facilities necessary for casting something that big, and afford to buy their own private cannon. It wasn't a matter of legality, it was a matter of economics.
But yeah, if you had enough money, you could fit out an entire warship with cannons.
Yes,
But
have
it
you ever
would
heard
be
of a
legal.
Have you ever heard of a privateer?
Well, shit. Teddy Roosevelt and his buddies all loaded up and went down to Cuba, didn't they?
Cuba, yeah, that was a private army.
Right.
The Rough Riders were just Teddy Roosevelt going,
But the
all
guys
right,
being dudes.
you, let's go to Cuba.
Yeah, he got a bunch of ranch hands and cowboys from out west. They brought their own horses, and if I remember correctly, they were completely outfitted with brand new Winchester lever action rifles and 2 Gatling guns, which were purchased by the rich wives of New York businessmen. Like
But you know, not allowed to buy
That's,
cannon.
that's
Teddy
the America I want.
Roosevelt. Exactly. You know,
there should
when
be
you look at
di-
pictures of these guys, they were just like, "Oh, go ahead, Alex." Like,
There should be dudes loading up on boats heading over to Ukraine right now with Gatling guns. Just a bunch of frat boys, nothing better to do.
hey,
Well, I mean, while the U.S. Army in the Spanish-American War was dying off because they were all eating expired meat, Teddy Roosevelt is just like, "Fuck this! I'm buying a couple Gatling guns at the local 5 and dime, and I'm gonna go take Cuba."
like San Juan Hill. I'd never heard of her, right?
Well, you're not going to believe this, but I Googled it when you brought it up. But Washington Post fact checked Biden's claim that Second Amendment bans cannon and gave it 5 Pinocchios.
What?
What about that?
Oh man, I guess the media is finally tired of breaking their backs carrying this guy's water.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
They actually fact checked Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
On a Pro 2A. Yeah, I can't believe
Yeah,
that
they
either.
listen to that like, wait a minute, that can't be true. Like, where did the Continental Army get all their cannons in that first year?
Yeah, how'd these
Did they
farmers just
come up-
show up?
Like, where'd they get them all? Wait a minute. Wasn't like, I mean, technically, until we declared our independence, the Continental Army was just a private army. It was just a militia. It didn't belong to any country until we
BYOD,
declared
bring your own
independence.
guns. Yeah.
They had plenty of guns, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. I just think it's incredibly ironic that CNN decides to cancel Joe Rogan and he canceled them instead. I love it. Joe Biden can talk about the Second Amendment all he wants with his buddy Justin Trudeau. He's probably hanging out with him at the White House right now because he's in exile because a bunch of fucking crazy boys up in Canada decided to drive him out.
They're in the Trump bunker that everybody was picking on Trump for hiding in.
Yep, Ottawa is currently literally shaking. Yeah, no, I think Justin is probably hanging out at Uncle Raul's house down in Cuba. Raul Castro's.
Nice and warm.
Uncle Raul.
Nice and warm down there.
Justin Trudeau is Fidel Castro's bastard son.
Well, he's definitely a bastard either way. So that would just make sense.
And that's
That'd make
still not
perfect
being
sense.
reported hardly. I don't think even conservative media is talking about it, is it?
Now, answer me this. So Justin Trudeau is the head of state in Canada, and he's fled the country. Does that mean this is already a successful revolution?
I don't know. It's something that we talked about last week, Ben. There's an office in Canadian Parliament called the Office of the Governor General that can call some kind of a parliamentary vote of no confidence to basically liquidate the Prime Minister's cabinet and call a snap election, I think. So if Justin Castro decides that he's going to be out of country for a considerable length of time to avoid getting swept up in the Holocaust, he might end up just getting kicked out of office by this special parliamentary procedure.
This is the crazy thing about this whole thing, because this truckers' revolution is an example of working class people rising up against their bourgeois elites. And the left fucking hates it.
Workers of the world unite. No, not like that.
So it's absolutely incredible because these are all working class folks, right? These are all working class folks. These are working class folks who do a job that holds up the entire economy. Mm-hmm. Like truckers are the lifeblood of a country, right? Without truckers, cities don't get their food, right? Farmers don't get their equipment, right? Gas stations don't get their fuel. Without truckers, we don't have a country. And it's not like truckers are a political group that is often protesting things. Like, when you've ever heard of truckers all uniting for a cause like this, right? They have the power, but they never do, except for this situation, because the Canadian government has decided to fuck with them in a seriously stupid way. Yep. And they've said, you know what? We're not going to put up with this. We're going to drive our trucks into the Capitol, gridlock it for as long as it takes to get you to change your mind. And the Canadian government is absolutely furious about this. Now, here's the thing about it. There's 3 ways this can end. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on how you think it's going to go. As far as I see, there's 3 ways for this to end. 1, the government outlasts the truckers. The truckers just kind of fade away. They get bored. They get tired of waiting out in 0-degree temperatures. They slowly disperse and go home of their own accord. Right? That's way number 1. Way number 2 is the truckers outlast the government, which, without the truckers, the economy comes to a complete standstill. So it's not like that would take months and months and months to do. If we're going to see the economy come to a screeching halt, that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, right? So if that happens and the truckers outweigh the government, then you get a negotiation, right? And you get a negotiated settlement, and then everyone goes home. Number 3, the government breaks it up violently, right? And you're going to see the beginnings like that when you see the media do a full court press to demonize the truckers. Now, they're already doing some of that. But it's not that extreme yet. Like, they found a guy with a Confederate flag. They found a guy with a Nazi flag. Wouldn't be surprised at all if this is Trudeau calling up his buddies and be like, yeah, just walk around for a bit.
Yep.
Right? But they're already starting to do a little bit of that. But before you see them violently break this up, you're going to see a full court press trying to demonize these folks.
Yep.
So that's how I see the 3 ways this could end. What do you guys think?
Before we get into that, we got a scientific libertarian over here said, why does Canada even have a mandate? 85% of their population has had at least one shot. 7% of the country has an autoimmune disorder, so they can't get vaccinated, so you're dealing with maybe an 8% resistance. Well, the problem that you're having...
Because it's a resistance.
Right. The problem that you're having there, Carl, is that you're using logic. You are trying to make sense. No, I'm not joking. I'm not trying to make a joke. This is not about making sense. This is about demoralization. It's not about health. It's about control. It's about sending the message that we are in charge and you stupid plebeians are going to know your place. And the plebeians decided that they were going to have a secession of the plebs. The people who have the dirty, thankless, low-paying jobs that the ivory tower types look down upon, that the jobs that actually make society work, have decided to walk off of the job, and these people don't know what to do. These are the types of people that, for some reason or another, are so stupid but so ambitious that they manage to get themselves into these positions of power despite not being able to find their own ass with both hands in a map. And now they don't know how to deal with the fact that the people who make their lives work are walking off of the job. The scene that immediately comes to mind is that scene from Fight Club in the bathroom where the politicians are having some big dinner and they're asking how they're going to deal with the underground people, the Project Mayhem people. And the Project Mayhem people are all around them serving their food. And one of the, I think it's like the police commissioner or something, goes to the bathroom and they throw him on the ground, put a rubber band around his balls, threaten to cut his balls off. And he says like, we cook your food, we haul your trash, we, names off a bunch of jobs. He points a knife in his face and he says, we guard you while you sleep. Do not fuck with us. And unfortunately, the people of Canada have got to that point right now, and they're shutting everything down, and they're letting the government of Canada know, do not fuck with us. So I don't know what they're going to do as far as your 3 possible scenarios for ending it. I think that they want to outlast the truckers, but they know that they can't. They are trying to do everything in their power to make sure the truckers don't have the logistics or the money necessary to stay there for as long as they need to. The city of Ottawa is already trying to convince GoFundMe to give the money that the truckers crowdsourced to the city of Ottawa to cover the expenses.
Why would you even use GoFundMe at this point?
You don't. You go to Give, Send, Go. But the violent thing is going to be incredibly hard for them to justify because there's cameras everywhere. Everybody has a high-def camera in their pocket at all times.
Right, but if you make it look like these are Nazis,
which is what they're trying to do. You said that they found one guy with a Confederate flag. As soon as he pulled that flag out, the other trucker, he had a mask on too, so we don't know who the guy was. The other truckers were like, "Get out of here. We don't want any part of you." And the Nazi flag that they said they saw was actually a Canadian flag that somebody had drawn a swastika on, as if to say the Canadian government is a bunch of Nazis. It wasn't some guy waving a Nazi flag. He's saying, "You guys are the Nazis." So they twisted that out of perspective. The truckers they're honking their horns, they're being a little bit rowdy and everything, but at the end of the night, they're having police call parties around the city. They are picking up their own trash. They are going to make this impossible for the media to demonize them because they are having such a peaceful, little bit rowdy, very loud, but peaceful protest in the heart of the city, and everybody is watching, and they can't do shit about it. They're stuck. They're stuck.
Honk honk, motherfuckers.
Ben?
Well, I think he rolls out the military just because he's such a, I don't know, he's got some weird thing he needs to prove on the world stage. So I don't think he wants to look like a bitch.
But see, that's the thing. This is a guy that was kneeling in solidarity for Black Lives Matter 2 years ago. right? And he can't even open a dialogue with truckers. Like that's the thing. In any sane and rational world, Justin Trudeau would be out there talking to the leaders of these guys, opening a dialogue and being like, see, we're not so different. We agree on a lot of stuff. You know, we might have our disagreements, but we can work this out. That in a sane world, that's what he'd be doing. Like 10 years ago, that's what a politician would be doing. He'd be like, yeah, let's shake hands, get a photo op, and let's try to make something work out here. But no, in today's world, you go for the fascist solution. And the fascist solution would be to demonize these people until you can justify in the public's eye going after them with brute force. And that's probably what they're going to do. You're probably going to see a full court press. More than what you're seeing right now. Way more than what you're seeing right now. Yeah. You'll see a full court press. They're going to call them white supremacists. They're going to call them Nazis. They're going to call them everything in the world. They'll seed provocateurs in the group. Right? They'll try to egg on these guys to have their own version of January 6th. And once that happens, boom, send in the military and break it up. But see, here's the brilliant thing about this truckers' revolution. It's like even if they went in and arrested every single trucker, then what? All the trucks are still there. What the fuck are you gonna do?
Yep. And the crazy thing about it is that the mayor of Ottawa has already called every single tow truck company in the surrounding area and said, "Hey, can you guys come in and start moving some of these trucks?" And you know what? Every tow truck company to the last one said, "Oh, sorry, all of our workers have been exposed to COVID. Got to quarantine for 2 weeks. Sorry."
Yeah, just like a Justin Trudeau, they all just suddenly and inexplicably came down with COVID. Yeah. Oh no!
That comment over here, the left abandoned blue collar labor. You know, when they say workers of the world unite, the workers they want to unite are the transsexual dog walkers. That's
who work 20 hours a week.
Yep. That's the workers they're wanting to unite.
Like I'll do more than 20 hours by Tuesday.
Yep.
Like 20 hours a week walking dog. You stupid motherfucker. Like shut. Oh, I work 20 hours a week. I would like to do less than that. Like you stupid bitch. Do my job. I'll walk some dogs. Like I'd like to be a teacher. I like to teach philosophy. Yeah, I bet you would. I bet you would love to teach philosophy.
You know, and we picked on Canadians a little here, but anytime you pick on a Canadian, they bring up the War of 1812, and it's like, you motherfucker.
I mean, what's not commonly remembered is that we burnt down Toronto in that war too. So don't talk too much shit, Canada. I mean, yeah, we can lose Washington. Nobody gives a shit. You guys don't have very many cities to lose.
I got like 3.
Like we got a bunch of those.
Yeah.
Well, I think we hit on everything tonight, except I wanted to touch on the $30 trillion in debt.
Oh God.
It's all make believe money anyways.
What I saw a graphic too. It's like the total debt of the world they estimate is $400 trillion. It's like, to who?
Yeah.
To the lizard people.
It's the space aliens that watch our show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who owns all this money? The worst part about some of our national debt is we owe it to ourselves.
Yeah, it's bondholders.
Yep.
Is what it is. It's like when you buy U.S. bonds, that's us owing to ourselves. It's like that. Like it's. I love how they put that. Like it's not the U.S. government owing the U.S. government money. It's them owing you money, the bondholder. It's like, oh, we don't even have to count that. That's owe it to ourselves. Like, no, motherfucker, count that. It's my money, not yours. You still have to pay it back.
You know, at this point, I'm gonna side with whichever wackadoodle squad member said this about just minting a $30 trillion platinum coin. just why not?
Like,
just game the system.
Point, fuck it. Well, at this point, fuck it. Just pay the Chinese with that. No, like do that and then just switch the currency.
Yeah.
Like, sorry guys, we're not doing the dollar anymore. We got dollar 2.0, and that's what we're gonna use.
If I owe you $100, that's on me. If I owe 100,000, that's on you. That's your problem. That's not a me
Like-
problem anymore.
Like, dumbass, you kept giving me money. I'm never gonna pay that back.
Yep. All debts are eventually paid either by the debtor or the person that's owed the money will have to eat the cost.
Yeah.
Well, we're not paying 30 trillion back. So
I mean, who?
I wonder who's gonna eat
Yeah,
that.
who
cost.
honestly thinks the U.S. is ever going to be good for 30 trillion?
Like, yeah, who is like that's the thing though. Who is still buying these treasury bonds? Who is
Fed.
still looking at this and going, you know what, the U.S. government, that's a solid investment. I'll buy more of that.
The Fed.
And by the time you get paid back, like even if you do decide to do that, by the time you get that money back, they're just going to have inflated any profits that you made out of it anyway.
Yeah, it's gotten so bad that it doesn't even matter at this point, I don't think, anymore. There's no way to fix it. It doesn't even matter. The whole system just needs to burn down, I guess.
Yeah. Problem is, it's going to be all these working class folks that get burned down. All these politicians are going to jet off to Epstein's Island and just have a merry old time.
Well, it depends. I mean, that goes back to who's on the hook for this money. Is it all these fucking upper level elites that think that they're owed this money? So if it gets wiped out, they're just up shit creek, or what?
It's the Rothschilds. It's the central bank. It's any number of these rich old world families that are, I'll lend you $1,000 or $1 million or whatever, and then the currency inflates or deflates, and the numbers have just gotten so lost and so skewed along the way. Businesses get put on contract for the government. The government owes them X millions of dollars, but then the business goes out of business, but that money is still floating out there somewhere. It's all black book. It's all imaginary. It's all ones and zeros in computers. None of it makes any sense. None of it really matters anymore. Nobody's going to pay this debt off, but more importantly, nobody is going to cash that debt in.
Mhm.
This is all just something that they hang over our heads. It's a big, huge, scary number, biggest number in all of existence. They hang it over our head as a method of control. You better stay in line, because if you don't, the Chinese are going to cash their chips in, and then we'll all be up Schitt's Creek. Oh no, don't do
you'll be up
that.
shit's creek. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, that's us down here at the bottom. It doesn't affect us at all.
Yeah.
No, it'll affect us in some way, shape, or form. You think all these rich people are gonna fucking just go down and be like, "Oh no, guess we're done"?
Yeah. No.
No, they're
Well,
gonna
maybe
hang on as long as
yeah.
they can, and people like us are gonna be the ones that feel
Maybe in
that.
countries without Second Amendment, they're fucked, but we're we're probably okay.
And we're gonna hunt them down. We're gonna take out privately owned F-16s
Sorry,
and shoot
Australia.
on their private jets.
That's good.
I often say that the problem with January 6th is that it wasn't an insurrection. Like if shit goes down, you'll see a January 6th for real, and you'll probably see a few politicians taken to the guillotine.
Yeah. One of the since we're talking about the debt and everything, people are like, "How are we going to pay this off? How are we going to pay this off?" Regular guest on my show, Lyman Bishop, he's like, ideally, what I think should happen is that the United States should split into 50 separate individual countries, stick Washington D.C. with the debt, and when they complain about it, be like, "This is your debt. It's not my debt. It's your debt. Fucking deal with it."
Yeah, it
See,
literally
that-
is not the debt of any of the states. He's not wrong.
Yep.
Nah, we'll end up with like 5.
Nebraska's got like
Not 50.
Nebraska's got something like $5 billion in the bank, supposedly.
Well, see, that's how you pay it off. The fucking government will come just take that.
Good luck. Come and take it.
It's like, oh,
Oh, sorry.
The independent nation of Nebraska.
All right.
Just-
Well, we dipped into eating the rich and insurrection there. Maybe we better call it a night. It's been an
Things are about to get spicy.
yeah.
I'm just out. Is that? I think someone's knocking on my door really hard. I gotta go.
Yeah.
The Capitol Police are coming.
Yep.
Well, we had
It's
a
not
lot
even
of
the FBI anymore.
we had a lot of listeners tonight. A lot of action over in the comments. If you missed out on that on Facebook, pop over to YouTube. There was a lot more people there. We try and share the Facebook comments too. We're also on Rumble, but I don't think their comments push through. But if for some reason you get yourself kicked off YouTube and Facebook, you can find us on Rumble now. Also, the website, www.roads2liberty.com. We've got some Liberty merch on there. Check it out if you haven't before. Follow us on Instagram. You can get tokens daily post, sometimes several times a day on Instagram.
Yeah, I can't help myself.
I think we're at almost 4,500 followers on Instagram now. So we're big
Something
enough.
like that.
We're big enough. People contact us to do NFTs now. So
Yes, yes, they do.
so check us out on all those. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next Thursday, same time.
Stay
awesome.